Lot number 3 is an enticing tale called the Arabian Carpet and the Land of No Magic. And along with it comes a carpet that I'm sure, if you believe enough, will take you into the heavens on a night flight. It is exquisite, very, very old, large, and one of the finest carpets with tales to tell that I have ever encountered.
The Arabian Carpet and the Land of No Magic. The Caliph's daughter was terribly ill, and after all the physicians in the land had tried and failed to heal her, the court magician was summoned. "Cure the princess," ordered the Caliph, "or lose your head." The magician tried all manner of tricks and potions, but to no avail. "Nothing can cure her, Majesty," said the magician, trembling at the Caliph's feet. "She has been called to the invisible world. It is her time." "Nonsense!" cried the Caliph. Yet as the poor magician was being dragged away, news arrived that the princess had indeed breathed her last. For 40 days the Caliph locked himself in his rooms. After the death of his wife, his daughter had been his only joy. Now that she too had gone, all light had left his world. On the day that his official mourning ended, he ordered the captain of the guard to come to him. "Send your men out to every corner of the empire," he said. "Find every magician, every fakir, every wizard, every sorcerer, and every person engaged in those nefarious arts, and throw them into jail. And there they can rot while we decide what to do with them." The captain carried out his orders with great diligence. Every practitioner of magic had their wands and other tools of sorcery seized, and powerless as a result, were cast in chains. Soon, not a single one was at liberty. Years passed. The empire became known as the Land of No Magic. Most people's lives carried on much the same, but something subtle and important, something no one could quite put their finger on, was missing. The Caliph himself, however, was content. "No more magic, no more misery," he would say to himself every morning as he looked out from the palace window. "Besides, they're all charlatans anyway." Now, with all the magicians incapacitated, there was nothing anyone could do to bring magic back into the empire. Yet in issuing his order, the Caliph had missed one important category: magic carpets. These were still at large, if maintaining a low profile. Yet realising that the fate of magic now rested with them, the carpets held an extraordinary assembly. "Even our weavers have been imprisoned," said the eldest when they all gathered in the shadow of a sacred snow-capped mountain. "If we do nothing, magic itself will cease to exist. There is only one thing for it. We must find the master weaver, he who created the very first of us, none other than 8 Fingers himself." "But where can we find him?" cried the assembled carpets. "We don't even know what 8 Fingers looks like." "His whereabouts are unknown to anyone but himself," said the ancient carpet. "We must fly to every corner until we find him, for only he can restore order to the world." Now one of the carpets present was a young Arabian who heard these words and with youthful determination swore not to rest until 8 Fingers had been located. Every night, when the people in its home were asleep, the carpet would set off into the starlit sky in search of the mysterious master. But very soon the magic carpets themselves were in danger. Sightings had been made of them as they crisscrossed the horizon in their quest, and in a rage, the Caliph, believing he had eradicated all magic from his lands, ordered them to be hunted down. One by one, the carpets were caught by the royal guards using nets, cannons, and all manner of means to bring them back to earth. And before long, the only magic carpet still evading capture was the young Arabian. "It's up to me," it said, as it set off once more on its search. High above the moonlit desert it soared, but that night it too was spotted, and the captain of the royal guard sent up a new weapon, a flying machine, to capture it. The Arabian swooped and swerved in the air to escape, flying low to the ground in the hope that it might find somewhere to hide. Before long, it spied a cave in a mountainside. Diving into it, it tightened itself into as small a roll as it could. The captain of the guard, however, was in pursuit and set a squadron of his best men to scour the landscape and bring the carpet to him. Soon the soldiers were clambering all over the rocks, and before long one of them had spotted the cave. "Perhaps it's down there," said the guard to his sergeant. Deep inside the cave, the Arabian curled itself into an ever tighter roll, hoping against hope to remain unseen. "Fool," said the sergeant. "Look, there's a spider's web covering the entrance. There's no way it's down there." The guard looked, and there indeed was a spider's web stretching unbroken from one side to the other, and so the soldiers moved on. Deep in the cave, the Arabian heard this, not believing its luck. And once it was safe to do so, it unrolled itself and peeped up towards the entrance. Lo and behold, it saw that there was indeed a large spider sitting at the middle of a great web covering the whole. And as a shaft of moonlight beamed down onto it, the Arabian saw the web transform into a rich tapestry of bright colours and designs, more beautiful than anything it had ever seen. The spider raised one leg as if to show the carpet, then another, and another, and another. 1, 2, 3, the Arabian counted. 7, 8, 8 fingers, it cried. "You are 8 fingers, I found you." The Arabian quickly told the master weaver everything that had happened, about the princess, the caliph, and the order against magic. "I can help," said 8 fingers, "but you must do exactly as I say." The Arabian promised, and so the spider climbed onto its back, buried himself in its woolen fibres, and together they took off into the night sky. Now the next night, in the royal palace, the caliph was in his bedchamber getting ready to go to sleep, when he looked down and saw a carpet by the bed. "That's strange," he said to himself. "I don't remember seeing that there before." He was about to order it to be taken away, when he thought that actually he rather liked it, that its colours and patterns were pleasing to him, and decided it should stay. Just then, as he was standing on it, dressed only in his bedrobes and about to pull back the sheets, the carpet rose into the air and as quick as a flash carried him out the window and high above the city. "Help!" cried the caliph, but they were so high up that no one could hear him. Far into the night sky and over the distant horizon they flew. At first the caliph closed his eyes and curled into a ball, hoping it was just a nightmare. But every time he opened them, there he was still, on the carpet, soaring through the air as though it were the most natural thing in the world. Clinging to the edge for dear life, he peered over and saw strange lands below, territories far beyond his own realms, mountains so tall that they touched the sky, lush green forests that stretched in every direction, vast oceans wider than his eyes could see, filled with amazing and monstrous creatures. "No more!" cried the caliph, petrified with fear. "No more!" And with that, he woke up with a start, lying in his own bed with the sun just beginning to rise. Thank heavens for that, he thought to himself. It was nothing but a dream. The next night, however, when he was getting ready for sleep, as he stepped onto the carpet, the same thing happened again. Up it rose, and out the window they flew. This time the caliph saw new wonders from on high. Enormous cities inhabited by peoples he had never seen before, with magnificent temples and palaces far greater than his own. And although he was still frightened and clung to the edge of the carpet until his knuckles went white, he gazed more intently at what he saw. These people seem much happier than my own, he thought to himself. They are more prosperous and clearly love their ruler more than my people love me. But before he could reflect any more, he found himself back in his bed, with the sun rising once more in the east. On and on this continued every night. Directed by 8 fingers, the Arabian Carpet would transport the Caliph to the distant corners of the earth, and on its travels showed him marvels far beyond his imagination. But the Caliph also saw misery and suffering where it too was to be found, and he wept as powerfully as he rejoiced at the wonders before him. 7 nights passed like this, in which the Caliph saw more than most people see in several lifetimes. On the 8th night, as he was getting ready for bed once more, he stood on the carpet and this time spoke to it. "I know now that this is no dream," he said. "You are a magic carpet, and I know that you have been transporting me to distant lands every night. Now it is my desire that you should carry me where I wish to go. Henceforth, you shall obey my commands." Instead, however, the carpet simply rose into the night air once more and whisked the Caliph away. This time, rather than travelling to far horizons, it stayed within the empire and visited, one by one, All the prisons where the magicians and wizards that had been locked up so many years before were still languishing, many of them now close to death. And the Caliph, confronted by the sight of them, grieved at what he had done and wept more bitterly than before. The next morning, when he woke up, he called for the captain of the guard and ordered the release of every man and woman who had been jailed for practicing magic. Henceforth, an imperial decree declared, all magic carried out for the purposes of good is permitted. Magic is no longer forbidden. The people rejoiced and danced in the street at the news, and before long, as the magicians and sorcerers and witches came back to live among them, they noticed that something subtle and important, something they couldn't quite put their finger on, had somehow returned to their lives. And the Caliph himself noticed it. He still mourned for his wife and daughter, but from now on did everything in his power to make sure his people could be as happy as possible. As for the Arabian carpet, well, the Caliph went back to his chambers to look for it, but it had vanished. And they say that from that day on it has continued to fly with 8 fingers to all 4 corners of the world, bringing a touch of magic back into the lives of those who most need it.